Welcome back to Impact. We continue to discuss matters of state with the opposition leader, AndrewHolness, who is also the Member of Parliament for West Central St. Andrew. Mr. Holness, there's so many things to talk about. Yeah? Let me pick up on a few of those. The 381 megawatt energy project.
Yes.
Seems like it is stalling again, if not crashed. We have been at this for a number of years now, too long. It's a national imperative. Electricity costs are too high in this country. It makes a country economy uncompetitive. Business people, householders need a break where their light bills are concerned. Where do we go now? We know the problems with EWI, the IDB saying we're not going to be participating financially, which virtually eliminates all the multilaterals and reputable international investors.
Well, Cliff.
Where do we go?
Well, we can't allow this period of uncertainty to continue. Uncertainty breeds further uncertainty and makes critical players make decisions that might be inimical to the national interest. So immediately as uncertainty begins to show, government must show certainty. Government must show direction. And for the past few days, there is no certainty. There is no direction. So immediately, government must intervene. Specifically, the Prime Minister must intervene. We were at this position before, you know.
When
Bruce intervened and put in place the energy.
Mr. Holness,
yes,
when the Prime Minister made her intervention on Tuesday, she was, I imagine, would have been fully aware of the latest developments. She did not say one word.
Well, that says it all about.
So why?
Well, you're asking me what should be done.
Yes.
And that should be done. The fact that it is not done is an indictment on the government. The fact is, you need certainty now. And let's look at the uncertainty a little bit more. The minister has really muddled everything in meddling. Firstly, the minister has changed the recommended license.
Yes.
It's very dangerous. I've gone through most of it. I haven't completed my review, but some of the things that I've picked up are of great concern. And your station did an excellent job in identifying them. But one key matter, for example, the supply of LNG. In the modified license, that is now subject to force majeure. In other words, they can claim that if anything goes wrong and they can't supply, they can say, well, it's not our fault, force majeure. But, you know, you could say that if, for example, a hurricane prevented the ship from delivering. Yes, that's force majeure. But what if one day he decides, well, you know, some problem at my plant and I can't get the gas? That's force majeure. In other words, the force majeure clause is too wide. So they can wiggle out of the supply for any reason. Yes. Right? That's cause for concern. And then you have to begin to think, why would the minister make such concessions?
Yes. Why?
And that's in the minds of people. Why? Why this persistent facilitation?
Can you help us with that? Why?
I'm at a loss as to why. The minister says he wants to bring cheap energy to Jamaica. And so do all of us. We support him in that drive for cheap energy. We want to see the 381 megawatt plant built and supplied. But we can't go down the road with the minister if it is obvious that the things that would make EWI or whichever company performs, that those things are absent from a license.
So, Mr. Holness, why then did your opposition spokesman on energy, Mr. Samuda, give the kind of endorsement and support to this project as recent as earlier this week? And your opposition spokesman on finance in the budget debate looked at the government side and said, get on with it. I've met with the principals of EWI. Give them all the support you can.
I think they're saying the same thing that I've said. They've probably said it in different words, but we see this as an important project, and the government must do everything to ensure its success. However, what has come subsequently to our attention, as I said, has clearly muddled everything and has made it seem as if this project may not be viable anymore. The revelation of the license, for example, has totally changed the dynamics of whether or not this project can really go through. We, in the opposition, are now reviewing it and looking as to whether or not the project is viable, which is why we have made a call for the Prime Minister to intervene now and make a determination where we go from here.
Mr. Samuda told me on radio earlier this week that he had met with the principals of EWI, big man talk, and based on that, he has confidence that they could have raised their 30% of the US $740 million.
Yeah, but
Can you share with us what was the basis of that confidence?
Well, I couldn't say. Confidence is a subjective issue.
Yeah.
So obviously, Mr.
And that's
Samuda,
why I would like to know on what basis he expressed that confidence.
Well, I couldn't say because it's a subjective issue. So he, in hearing, we were in the meeting together. So
you were in that meeting with Stuart Elliott?
We interviewed them, effectively. Interview is a light word. We interrogated them.
Yeah.
We asked about their financials.
Yes.
And they said they were able to provide the performance bond, and they were able to provide their part of the equity. I subsequently asked one of my persons at my office to do some due diligence on the claims that were made, which is why I haven't made any statement. So I couldn't have just on the basis of what was told to me. As I said, my style is to check.
So Mr. Samuda erred in saying that publicly.
I think Mr. Samuda gave you his personal opinion based upon possibly his experience in dealing with these matters.
You said he gave me or didn't give me?
He gave you. I think he gave you his personal opinion.
Oh.
Yeah.
But he can't be personal when he's speaking as opposition spokesman
well,
on energy.
I would agree with that, but you asked him what he thought about
So based
confidence.
on that meeting and what you have heard or seen as opposition leader, how confident are you in the ability of EWI to bring this project to fruition?
Well, what we heard from EWI would suggest that they have the competence and capacity. But subsequently, what has been revealed in terms of the difference in the license would place in question why would, having said that we have this competence and capacity, why would you then need all this kind of facilitation? So that brings questions to our mind.
So should Paul Well be relieved of the job of energy
Which is what
minister?
I've said. I think the Prime Minister should step in and try and rescue this project. The Prime Minister needs to put back on the table all the performance criteria that were recommended by the OUR for the protection of the people of the country. That needs to be done. That must be done.
Let me go back to what is a central issue. We have been at this for the better part of a decade. And as the former Prime Minister told me on radio yesterday, we have not been able as a country to attract the big players in the energy sector.
And I heard him, and I agree with him, and I've said it as well. And sorry to be cutting your question, but I want to just jump in quickly to make that point that you're about to ask me to make. International companies, especially Western companies, have laws that are very strong laws about being involved in any process that is considered corrupt. Jamaica, by being part of that international network with a structure that has been pushed and engendered and promoted by the international financial agencies, the IFCs, the IDB, the World Bank, is now a part of that global network of accountability. Now, if an international company has to come to Jamaica and they are of the view that the process to which they will have to participate in is not one of the highest level of integrity and scrutiny, they're going to have to consider the political risk to them in their own country because there are laws in their country for breaching. And so if you ask the question why, that's part of the reason.
Yes.
And for us to continue to do that and promote the view that our process for competitive bidding and competitive tenders is one that can be flouted and the law can be ignored, those international companies will have to take a second look at Jamaica.
All right, let's take the break and come back. This is Impact. Stay with us.